Thomas was a taxi driver in a busy city. Every night, he drove his car through quiet streets, picking up passengers and dropping them at their homes. He liked working at night because the roads were empty, and everything felt calm and peaceful. One cold night, Thomas was waiting near an old bus stop. The streetlights were dim, and there was no one around. He checked the time. It was almost midnight. He was about to leave when he saw a man standing at the corner of the road. The man was wearing a long black coat, and his face was not very clear because of the shadow. Thomas felt a little strange, but he needed money, so he stopped the car near the man. The man slowly opened the back door and sat inside. He did not say anything. Ravi looked at him in the mirror and asked softly, "Where do you want to go?" After a few seconds, the man said in a low voice, "Hill Road." Thomas nodded and started driving. Thomas looked at him in the mirror and asked softly. The road to Hill Road was long and quiet, with very few houses, and most of them were old. As Thomas drove, he tried to talk again. "Do you live there?" Thomas asked. But the man did not answer. Thomas felt uncomfortable, but he continued driving. The air inside the car suddenly felt cold. He turned on the heater, but it did not help. After some time, Thomas looked in the mirror again, but the back seat was empty. Thomas' heart started beating fast. He quickly stopped the car and turned around, but there was no one. He got out of the car and looked around, but the road was empty, with no sound and no movement. Ravi felt scared and tried to calm himself by saying that maybe the man got down quietly, but deep inside, he knew that was not possible because the doors always made a sound. Slowly, he went back to his seat, his hands shaking. Thomas felt scared and tried to calm himself. He decided to go home. As he started the car, he suddenly heard a soft voice from behind, saying, "Why did you stop?" Thomas froze. He slowly turned his head, and the man was sitting in the back seat again. This time, his face was a little visible, and his skin looked pale, while his eyes were dark and empty. Thomas could not speak. The man looked at him and said, "Drive." Thomas quickly started the car and drove faster, without looking back again. After a few minutes, they reached Hill Road. The man said, "Stop here." And Thomas stopped the car near an old broken house that looked abandoned, with no lights and no people around. The man opened the door and got out, but before closing it, he said, "Wait." Thomas did not move. The man walked toward the house and disappeared into the darkness. Thomas waited for a few minutes, then 10 minutes passed, but the man did not come back. Thomas felt that something was wrong. He wanted to leave, but at the same time, he wanted to know the truth. Slowly, he got out of the car and looked at the house. The door was half open, and a cold wind came from inside. Thomas took a deep breath and walked toward the door. As he reached the entrance, he heard a soft whisper from inside, saying, "Come in." Thomas stood still as his heart beat loudly, but something inside him pushed him forward. He slowly stepped into the house, and suddenly, the door behind him closed with a loud sound. Thomas stood inside the dark house, and for a moment, he could not see anything. The air was very cold, and there was a strange smell around him. He slowly moved forward, trying to see in the darkness. The floor made a soft sound under his feet. Suddenly, he heard the same voice again, very close this time, saying, "You came." Thomas's body felt heavy, and he wanted to run, but his legs did not move. A weak light appeared in the corner of the room. Thomas looked at it and saw the man standing there. This time, his face was clearly visible, his eyes were empty, and his skin looked lifeless. The man raised his hand and pointed to the floor. Thomas looked down and saw something that made his heart stop. There was a body lying on the ground, covered in dust. It was the same man. Thomas could not understand anything. His mind was confused and filled with fear. The man looked at Thomas and said slowly, "No one helped me. No one came." Thomas realized that the man was not alive. He was seeing something that should not exist. The room suddenly became colder, and the light started to flicker. The man's voice became louder. "Stay." Thomas felt a strong fear inside him. And this time, he forced himself to move. He turned and ran toward the door. The door was closed, but he quickly opened it and rushed outside. He ran to his car, started it, and drove away as fast as he could. He did not look back even once. When Thomas reached the main road, he finally slowed down, but his hands were still shaking. His heart was beating very fast, and he could not stop thinking about what he had seen. He kept looking in the mirror again and again, afraid that the man might still be sitting behind him. The road was empty, but the fear stayed with him. That night, Thomas did not go home immediately. He stopped near a small tea shop and sat quietly, trying to calm himself. The world around him felt normal, but his mind was not. He could still hear the voice in his head.